want to do it.
Hello everyone, today we're going to review drawing buildings in 2-point perspective, and we're going to start with our usual 2 vanishing points on a horizon line and connecting our vertical line to those 2 vanishing points, then creating our usual box by making our 2 vertical lines on the sides. And so this is basically a review. Now from here, what we're going to do is we're going to make sure that you can see this on the screen here, and I'm just following my previous drawing in the thin lines here. When we're drawing the buildings, we're just using that basic building block of a box. And so we've reviewed this a few times. The trick here though is to make it look like a building by using the vanishing points to connect to the windows and make it look more realistic. So in this next step, what I'm doing is I'm taking that central vertical line and I'm marking every inch, and you can mark your building with whatever units you want. Could be centimeters, could be ½ inch, and I'm connecting those each to the vanishing point. So we should notice that when we do this, the line becomes less diagonal as it gets down to the central line, to the horizon line, and then it becomes a little bit diagonal the opposite direction. And so it creates this illusion of depth by alignment to that vanishing point. And we repeat that for the opposite side of the building. And so you can see here that by doing this, we are aligning this building in 3-dimensional space. And the line that's closest to us is the middle line. This will create this illusion of the building. And since Chicago's tragic fire, most buildings have been sort of covered in glass, and so it has this sort of nice illusion here. Now I'm doing the diagonal X here on the right hand panel, and what I'm going to do here at the bottom of the building is I'm going to create an arch, almost like an entryway for this building. And I'm using that diagonal central line to find the center of that panel, which I'm going to use to create an arch. And so I'm going to use that central dividing line to create the top of the arch, as if it was some kind of a Roman arc. And I'm using my ruler here to make sure that that arc is standing vertically. Now I'm just going to make sure that you can see this with the shape and a darker pencil. Now when you're doing this, I want you to think back to drawing your letters in 2-point perspective, in which we still use the 2 vanishing points to make this a realistic arc. Okay, and after that, we make this a little bit bolder. We add a little bit of shading to it, but it's the same idea as drawing letters in 2-point perspective. We're always reminding ourselves to make true vertical lines and align to the 2 vanishing points when we need to, and we want to make sure that the arc also uses 2-point perspective. It's very neat when you do it correctly, and it all started from that X that I drew on that panel to the right hand side. And when we think of cities and buildings, these are real jobs in the real world, right? Somebody has to draft the idea of the building, what it's going to look like, what the facade is going to look like, the front of the building, and how it's ultimately going to, turn out. If people like it, then that's great. If people don't like it, then we switch up the drawing and come up with something new. So here I'm drawing a second building in the background. We're starting from that vertical line again, taking the top and bottom of that line segment to create the usual box we've been doing in 2-point perspective. And then we're going to create that building. However, things that are smaller seem to be further out, right? Longer away in the distance. So when we're drawing buildings in your designs, just think about that. Like the buildings that are smaller are going to be further out in the background. The buildings that are bigger are going to be closer to us. And so that never changes. That's a standard that we have to follow in our drawings. So here I'm just outlining it again so you can see it a little bit better. And I'm going to use that window trick where we use the vanishing point to draw those windows accordingly, right? So if the right hand panel needs windows, I'm going to use the right vanishing point to align to that and make the vanishing points make sense. Okay. For other buildings, you can make them like pyramids. You can have them have like a triangular roof. You can have something on top of the roof. You can have all kinds of different combinations of looks for your buildings. And think about it. All architects want to be known for doing something amazing and functional, but also original. And so you want to do the same. Now for a slightly circular building here, what I'm doing is I'm building the usual box again, starting from the central line and connecting to the two vanishing points. However, now I'm going to turn the windows into sort of round floors. And so what I did here is I followed the two vanishing points from the left and the right, and instead of wrapping around just the square shapes, I made these really nice curves, and I was aiming to connect those three dots, right? The three corners from the right hand side to the middle to the left hand side. And so I was making these nice and round, and now I'm just going to shade them so you can see that a little bit better, right? And so round buildings are basically a box that's been outlined with a circle, right? If you think about it that way, it's going to make a little more sense for you. But it still follows 2-point perspective, right? And so here we have 3 buildings, one round, one with an arch, and just a more normal one here on the right hand side. I hope you have fun creating unique buildings and shading and drawing.